So he passed, and then after that, as I say, I kind of like was there for him, and tried to be as best as I could. And I thought, right, I know, let me save up for a holiday. Like, let's try and cheer him up and make him feel better. So I saved up for a holiday. It was my son's birthday, and he's getting excited. We'd never been on holiday. And I thought, right, this will really cheer him up. So I said to him, look, I booked a week's holiday, and I said, Bradley's really excited. And I said, hopefully, this will cheer you up. And he went, what the fuck have you done that for? He goes, fucking cancel it. You're not going on holiday, and neither is he. And my son just, absolutely in tears. I said, look, I've paid for it. I've paid for it. You don't need to worry. And he was furious. And my son was like literally in tears, sobbing his heart out. And I went up to my son, said, don't you worry, over my dead body, me and you are going no matter what. And I was bloody nervous, Kev, because I thought, please, what am I going to do? And I said to a friend, I said, do you want to come? Because he's not coming. And I thought he might do. But anyway, and it got to the day before we went on holiday, and he said, I'm not fucking coming, like that. He was really angry and like grumpy. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going. So we went, and I had the best time ever. I met these two guys. They're in a relationship, and it's just like, they were just so lovely. We had the best holiday, and I didn't have to wake up and walk on eggshells. I didn't have to hear the shouting every day. My son was really happy. Just had the loveliest time. And then I knew I was coming home, and I thought, I do not want to come home. And I think that done me the world of good. It gave me a bit more, like you could sort of, you step away from something, because when you're you can't see it. I think with anyone watching this as well, when you're in it, you're so far deep and you don't know who you are. Sometimes just having that break, even just for a couple of days, like sometimes you need to come out of your body, so to speak, and look down and think, this isn't real. Someone shouldn't be shouting at you, screaming at you. I'm earning money as well. It's not like, not as if I'm not, on Christmas Day, as I say, doing that and checking my mileage every day and not letting people come round. And so we got back. And a neighbour of mine, she had some sort of problem with, she had a property or something and had a legal thing going on, and she'd lost her husband and she was in a really bad state. And so we was the closest neighbours. So she come over in tears, like really saying, I said, look, come in, and I made her a cup of tea. I said, look, let's talk and I'll see if I can help her. And he is outside the room. I can hear him stomping up and down for an hour, like banging, like,
oh my goodness.
And now I must have had about 30 messages, get rid of her. And I'm like, and I didn't see all of them, like as the phone's flashing. And I'm like, I cannot leave this lady who's in tears, who's crying, who's in an absolute state. So I was trying to sort of console her. Probably was 2 hours later, she went home and she felt a lot better. And she said, I can't thank you enough for just being there.
Sure.
I really do a lot, but I just wanted to help her. And that was like literally the next straw. I just thought, I can't do this. You're awful. But I left it another 6 months, Kev, and I thought, oh my God, what am I doing? I think I just didn't have the courage. I was scared because I didn't know where I was going to go. I had no money, I had like a little bit of money. I think I had about 200 quid. And I thought, I've got no money. Where am I going to go? And my son came home from school a week later with this picture. And this is what done it. It had on there a punch bag, and it said, and a beer, and it said, do this to make Dad happy, and stop being so angry. And then it said, I want to give Mum a pill to make her happy again. And I thought, well, I felt so awful. I thought, what am I doing to my son? He's seeing this, and, he'd say to me, can we go, Mum? Can we go, Mum? Even when he was 5, 6. And I thought, okay. So I'm going. So a few days later, I packed my bags. I literally had like dustbin bags, some toys for my son. I had about 250 quid, and over I like cheese and pickle sandwich. And so packed it up, and I went, and I thought, right, what am I going to do? And I'd asked my mum and dad, I said, look, can I come and live there? And my dad never really got on well. We've never really had a close bond. I think because obviously I lived with my nan, and I don't know, we just never really got on well. My dad's always, as I say, a little bit like Alf Garnett. He's a nice man, don't get me wrong, but he's like, well, you got married, you your bed, you lie in it, you don't get divorced,
Sure.
You've got to stay. I said, I can't, but they didn't know the whole ins and outs of it, because I hardly saw them anyway. I was kind of kept away from them.
Yeah.
So I didn't really see my parents, didn't have that great relationship. So my mum said, well, I don't think, your dad's really going to want you to come here.
Right.
I was like, fuck, what the, like I'm left now. I've told him I'm going, I didn't actually physically tell him. I left him a note. So I was so scared to say, Kev, I'm going, because we'd had a row like couple of weeks before, and he got quite aggressive, and he like smacked me around the head like that, and I didn't know how he was going to react. He could either go really like fucking mad,
Of course.
and I just thought, if I can diffuse the situation, so I left him a note in the Monopoly box. So when I thought it was really bad, is I put it there. I thought, I know he won't go in there. I left it in the Monopoly box. And just before I left, I put a note for the door. I said, check the Monopoly box, which is fucking weird. I don't even know why I'd done it, but I was scared. I just had to get everything done. And I said, I'm turning my mobile phone off for 4 days. I said, I will not be talking to you. I said, your son is safe. I said, please don't think that. And I said, I will never stop you seeing him. But I said, I just need to get away for 3 or 4 days. And then I put in the letter, I don't know why I did this. It's not me, it's you. It's not you, it's me. I think because I just wanted to keep everything calm and feel good. So I went, and then I was like, well, where the fuck am I going to go? I just did not know where to go, Kev. So I literally got in the car and I drove to the beach. I just thought, well, if I can get a cheap B&B, I can try and, get somewhere to stay. But then I still had the other thing is I've got to tell my son now we've left. I remember him sitting in the car, and I thought, what am I going to say? Like, how do I tell him we've like literally left home? We've got nowhere to go. I can't do that to him. So I kind of like said, I've got something to tell you. I think he hates it when I say that because bless him, And I said, Brad, so there's nothing you've done. And I wanted to be totally honest with him. And I said that I can't live with your dad anymore. I said, I'll never stop you seeing your dad. I said, and your dad loves you and I love you. And I said, we will always be here for you. But I said, I'm really sorry, but I can't live with your dad anymore. But I said, I'd like, you'll still see him. I said, you're still going to see him at Christmases. I wanted him to feel, I said, but it's never anything you've done. And I thought, I'm just going to be honest with him. And he goes, it's okay, Mum. And he just he sat there like a little tear. And I thought, oh my God. And then he was all right. He said, but where are we going now then? And I was like, was a bit shocked.
Because you that's a big part of the story, because you had to figure out what you were going to do with that situation.
It's like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, I literally, as I say, I know where to go. 250 quid, that weren't going to get me far. So, long story short, so things happened in between. As I say, I sofa surfed at a friend's house, and kind of, I was lucky. They're very kind, and they put us up for a bit, but obviously it was too far away. I had to get back because Bradley had school, and I needed to have him. He needed to have normality in his life.
Sure.
So, I ended up borrowing some money. I borrowed 600 quid and ended up buying a caravan. And you can imagine the kind of caravan I had a little bit of extra cash, but 600 quid, but it was not a nice caravan. It was a shit caravan. It was mouldy, it was dirty, it had a hole. It was just awful. And
that just going back to what you said when we started the podcast about the cover of your book, is that where the caravan picture, the first thought came from?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that's what I thought. If I put a caravan on there, they can see my story. Because I literally had a picture of me, my son, and some bags of clothes and the caravan. That's what I thought. Oh, well, that tells a story. But actually, I thought, no, because my story, that isn't just a little bit, then it gets worse. So, I left then, Kev. As I say, it was in the caravan, and I kind of like tried to make it as best I can. I tried to make it fun for my son, so he'd be at school, and I ended up cleaning and painting it and that. But the thing was as well, me and my ex sort of had like work together, so I had to leave all of that, like the business, the money, because I created a business with him, and so I literally had to start again, and so had to get the caravan looking and like half decent. So like the flooring, the carpets were filthy. So I had to go I borrowed a bit more money to get, stuff for the carpets and the floors. And like, have you ever put a carpet down? Excuse the French, what the fuck? I got a Stanley knife, was going round, and in the end, it looked like a 2-year-old had cut this, but like something over the top of it, like a pot or something. Seeing gaps around, I was like, oh my God. But the thing was, this caravan, it was great in the summer. It was literally, I'm not kidding you, baked beans tin. It was the thinness of that. So
wow.
It's great in the summer, but in the winter, it's fucking freezing. It was so cold. It was horrendous. And I'd end up trying to get 2 or 3 jobs. But even then, I really struggled because I'm dyslexic. By then, obviously, a lot had changed then, we've got computers and, you'd done the applications. But I really struggle with that mentally. And I really want companies to think about this. This is a massive problem. I couldn't get many jobs because I could not get through the questionnaires. But I knew if they saw me or I worked there, I'd get the job. You know, like I was only just doing cleaning and like stacking shelves because I just could not release training. I just was in such a bad headspace. Anyway, so can you hear my dog drinking? So,
I was just wondering what I hear birds and I can hear these in here I can hear my dog at my door right now as well.
well, I can't hear your dog, but I can hear her gulping up the terrace. Anyway, so yeah, long story short, yeah, in the caravan, get it looking nice as I can, and you know, but then it had no toilet. A toilet was in there, but it didn't work. It was broken, and it just so we ended up having to go to the toilet outside in a bucket. And I remember, I think it was over a couple of months. I'm getting really depressed now. I'm really freaking low, Kev. You know, I've got a bit of money coming in, but it's literally, I mean, I'm in debt now. You know, I owe like for the caravan. I've got no money hardly. I'm trying to put food on the table. We're struggling to get jobs. And I was just sinking more and more in depression. Hadn't obviously dealt with any of my other problems prior to that, you know, the stupid and the thick. My son, it was just coming up to Christmas, and my son, he'd gone away for the weekend, granddad's or something. Well, granddad's, his nan's. He'd gone anyway, and it was yeah, literally a few days before Christmas, and I sat in the caravan. I was freezing cold. I had no money, literally no food. I was living off bloody jacket potatoes because you could buy them for £1. Like that's four dinners, or two dinners, you know, depending on if my son was around. And I went outside. It was really cold. I was using the bucket, going to the toilet, and there was a rat that ran past. And I think that was just it. I just went back in the car. I thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't be here. I'm a failure. I'm a failure. I'm a failure as a mother. I just felt stupid, silly. And I went to end my life. I just thought, I can't do it, Kev. I think I just had no energy left, no nothing.
Had you had those thoughts before this moment?
Well, I had a little bit with my nan. When my nan passed, I did feel low, but I'm one of those, I put a brave face on it and just get on with it, you know. But this time I think it just all sunk in. I just thought, I think it's because I felt a failure as a mum. That's what I felt. I just felt bad. I was not good enough as a mum. And that's when I went to, end it. And I just thought the world would be a better place without me. But I know it was a cry for help. It was a cry for help. I just wanted help. And while I was doing it, I was got all the pills, put them in. Behind the caravan, there was there's glass, and this is the most weirdest thing. It was, as I say, it was still, it was night, you know, it was getting dark. And it was a quiet night, and then this flash of like lightning, like literally flashed down, like hit the ground, like literally as if it was like right by the caravan, like the window. It was like the universe is telling me like, what the hell are you doing? And in that moment, I think it just stopped me in my tracks, and I'm like, and I looked and I thought, what am I doing? What are you doing? And I slapped myself around the face, and I thought, right, come on, you know, and I have to sort of self-talk myself out of this mental, you know.
Had you taken tablets at that point?
Yeah, I'd put some in my mouth.
Okay.
I'd literally, right, stop, you know, slap myself around the face and thought, right, I've done the hard bit. I've got to get up, show up, and I've got to get security for my son, because, you know, at the end of the day, there's me saying I'm going to leave him, but, you know, he's not going to, I mean, he could go back with his dad, but, you know, that wasn't really the best thing for him. I wanted to start and kind of build a life for him.
Sure.
Long story short, I'll keep this short because so in the caravan was working. I was doing 2 or 3 jobs. I built a dating app with help. I was saving up and struggling.
And you need something you're good at.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted. I wanted to do. I never wanted anyone to have such a shit relationship like I'd had. And I thought I wanted to make the world a better place. And I wanted people to have real love. Created this app over the years, you know, spent all the money saving up and like training, built this app, but it just was crap. Honestly, it was, I'm not going to say, it was no different to anyone else, you know, and it just was like, it was more on superficial than like actual, you know.
It was missing the connection part.
Yeah, it just wasn't any good. So I closed it down and I thought, I can't do this. And I thought, right, you need a lot of money to be able to build apps. So I thought, right, if I studied journalism. So I thought, if I can study that, I can then write my own stuff to help others. But again, I've still got this problem of reading and writing and
Sure.
I'm struggling. So this is when I went on a journey. I pushed myself so hard. And for me, reading a book is like pulling the teeth out. I hate reading. I really do. So I made myself read every bloody day. I pushed myself. I kept writing. I was writing, hated it, but I kept pushing myself. And in the end, I started to like reading and I started like writing. I'm like, what the fuck? Like this is.
Yeah. Where did that come from?
Where did that come from? And actually I thought, well, I'm quite good at this. So started reading and writing and done the training course. And I wanted to then become, for the dating, I wanted to take it off of the dating app and like do it myself. Because I love people. I've always loved people. And even I remember this is really weird. When I was a 6-year-old kid, 6 or 7, I remember walking down the road with my nan, holding my nan's hand. And I don't know the word she said to me, but she said, what do you want to be? And I said, I just want to help people. And I always remember that, but I didn't know how or what. I had no clue. And so I went and trained as a relationship coach, a therapist, a life coach, image consultant. I wanted everything. I wanted to have all the things I could to help people. All I wanted to do was help people. So I started then the process of like doing the matchmaking personal one-to-one. But again,
Are you still living in the caravan at this point?
Yes, I'm still in a caravan, still building the business, still, pushing. And, to get yourself out there, you've got to do a lot of freebies. So I was doing loads of freebies and I was exhausted, Kev. I'm doing 2 or 3 jobs. I still got to look after my son. Then I'm coming home and I'm also building my matchmaking dating site. And back then you didn't have GoDaddy. You didn't have all these sites. So I had to do it myself. And I'm freaking clue. I mean, like if I look back now, I wish I'd got pictures of it. It looked bloody awful, but I had to learn how to code. I stole the images. I didn't know what I was doing, but I made it look good. And people were like, bloody hell. And they thought I was, quite a famous matchmaker. And I were, just pushing. But, I had to build something. I had to make it look good. And, I was going up to meetings and that in this caravan. I didn't have a pot to piss in. I didn't even have the money to get on the train. I was struggling. And, but I started to get good, like really good. And people were starting to notice me, and then they were saying, oh, well, could you come and match this person and that? And then that's when I started to earn, I was starting to earn good money then. And I was starting to get a name for myself. And I thought, right, if I can start writing books. So I started to write a book as well about dating and
which is amazing because your whole childhood you're struggling to read.
Yeah, that's it, struggling to read and write. So I really pushed myself, kept reading, kept writing, and I wrote this book and then I screwed it out. I thought, no, that's no good. And I know it's a really good book and I threw it all away because obviously then you typed it up. So very old school again still. So I typed up this book, threw it away and I'm so gutted I shouldn't have done that. But I suppose I didn't have the confidence then to do it still. I still was in a bad place. So I spent years and years building up, getting matchmaking, and I was doing really high profile clients and I was working with some really big names, some famous, a lot of famous people, business leaders, etc. So
are they still together?
Not all of them, no.
Okay.
But I've done some and I've done some bloody good matches. And even some of them said like, bloody hell, I can't believe the person you put me with, not about the looks, but just so compatible. But that's what I wanted to do. I spent years trying to understand the compatibility because it just wasn't, there was things wrong, they weren't right. So that took me nearly about 10 or 12 years to get.
During that time, are you dating?
No, I wasn't until near the end. So
okay.
I wasn't dating. I didn't even want anyone. I was just throwing myself into business and work.
Sure.
Didn't even go out on any dates. I wasn't really going out. I was just more worried about my son. I just had to get a roof over his head and just had to build the business. So working really hard. Pushing myself. I mean, I was exhausted, sometimes you're getting up at 5 a.m, getting home at 10 o'clock at night, and then obviously still trying to sort my son out. He might stay at a friend's or something that night or, so I can just work. So doing really well. And then this is when I met Damien. I've changed his name, obviously, so on his name. Yeah. So I went to this high profile event and that's kind of like where I was networking because I had to be in those environments because of the people I was like matchmaking. I went to this event and he kept staring at me. And again, it was like the other way.
Sure.
at me. And I thought, what's he looking at me like that for, you know? And then he came over and I found him quite intriguing. He's dressed very well, business suit, and, you know, looked the part. Wouldn't say there's chemistry but I quite liked him. He talked to me for about 5 minutes and he said, right, I'm going now. And he went. And I was a bit like, what the fuck? You know, and he gave me his number, his business card. You know, I didn't really think much of it. And I just thought that was a bit random and like walked out. But I was more intrigued then. I was like, well, what is this? So got on the train. I just messaged, oh, nice to meet you. And, you know, I just thought it might be a good business contact. I might even want to date. I didn't know if he was single or not. He messaged back. He said, I'm actually going away for a few weeks with my family or children. He said, I'll get in touch and get back. I went, all right. I didn't really think anything of it. And then I think it was about 4 weeks later, he called me and I was just out for a walk. And we must have spoke for about 7 hours, 6 hours on the phone, and just got on really well. Like he had a really good conversation, but he had also lost his home. So I think that's where I felt the connection. And he was telling me, so I didn't know all of it. He'd lost his children, his business had collapsed, he'd lost a lot of money, and yeah, everything had just gone to pot basically. He had like $1 billion venture property, literally lost everything. And I just felt so sorry for him. I thought, God, I knew how he felt. And he just said, I don't know, I'm going to go on, you know. And I'm the healer and the helper, the repairer. I said, look, don't worry, I'll help you. I said, I will help you. So he was struggling. So we ended up kind of going on a journey together. You know, I was helping him. I was trying to heal him. I was trying to get his children back. But he didn't tell me the full story.
Right.
This was the problem, because he's quite a life and soul of the party, but he has a drinking problem. But he said, oh, I'm Irish. We always have a few drinks. You know, so he'd always have something there. And he said, oh, well, I drink because I'm, you know, sad. I miss my kids. I'd always kind of leave that as an excuse. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I understand.
Did you feel a bit like it was a mirror reflection of your younger self?
No, I didn't. Not them. Didn't then? No, because I didn't. And that's a really good question. Yeah, I should have done, but I didn't because I was so wrapped up in him, repairing him. It's as if all them years, or even him, I'd repelled myself. I didn't even think about myself. I didn't even give a shit about myself, Kev. I just was more worried about everybody else. That's like the dating, the matchmaking. I'm afraid to the ends of the earth to help these people. I want happy and in love. And this is what I wanted to see with this chap. You know, we started to have a relationship. We're getting on really well. And I wanted to help him and heal him. And I wanted to get his children back, which I did. Took me, you know, a few years to get his children back and help him, or a year or so to get his children back. But again, I didn't know the extent, obviously, because we were seeing each other, but he'd come up weekends, we'd drink, we'd party, well, not party, but just exercise.
So it wasn't real life. It was sort of like the escapes that you were experiencing before.
Yeah, that's it. It was escapism again. Yeah, I wasn't living my truth. I wasn't being me. And then we ended up moving in together, and I thought, oh, this is great. You know, we're going to sort all my problems out, sort his out. Ended up getting a place together. I was really excited. You know, I thought, oh, this is it. You know, he's going to have, you know, a family home. That's all I wanted was just the children there. I mean, obviously they're getting older, but I just wanted the children there and, you know, have dinners and just nice things, invite people around. And this is when it started. After we moved in together, probably about 2 weeks, maybe roughly. Obviously, I was noticing his drinking. I was seeing cans around, but again, he just used it as an excuse. But again, I just let it go. And then this one night, we didn't have a sofa at the time, so we didn't have much money. And there was a mattress, like it was in the lounge, just as a kind of a sofa, really. So I didn't have much money. And anyway, he was in the kitchen drinking. So I was reading, and then I was watching a bit of telly. Anyway, and then he was sort of like in the office hallway. And I looked across, and he was just standing there, like. It was really weird. I still don't even know what it was. It was like he was there, but he wasn't there. I sort of got up, went over to him and said, are you all right? And then he got me by the throat and strangling me, and I could hardly breathe. And I was in shock because, as I say, she's just slapped me on the head, but I've never had like actual, I have had one physical when I was working abroad, but I haven't really in a relationship, someone like physically. I was in shock. I thought this man's supposed to love me and I'm helping him. And he had me by the throat. And lucky enough, my son was not there that night, thank God. And he got me by the throat and it was like literally, it was getting tighter and tighter. And I'm screaming and crying and the words weren't coming out. And you're thinking, oh my God, he's going to kill me. And I was like, stop. And then I went to sort of push him and then he literally he went back and then he was so angry. I've never seen anything like it. And he literally there was a mirror on the wall and he literally he didn't smash the mirror, but he smashed the wall so hard. I'm surprised he didn't break his hand. And I was so scared and I thought, what have I walking into? What the hell have I done? I've tried to sort of give security for my son, the home, and thinking, this is all going to be lovely and this is turning to absolute shit. So I run upstairs, I hid in the bedroom because it was this is evening time now. And I thought, well, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I'm back in this situation again. So I locked the door and pushed myself against the door and I laid there, leant against the door sobbing for hours. And I just thought, I don't know what to do. And I must have fallen asleep. And then, you're scared the next morning. I thought, what am I going to do? How do I escape? How do I get out of here? So I literally crept down, the hallway down to the stairs and creeping down. And then he comes, there's the stairs. He comes down and he went, oh, do you want some tea? Do you want a cup of tea? Or do you want some breakfast? And I'm like, what the fuck? My head was I literally just stood there for a second and I'm like, who is this man? I said to him, don't you remember what you did to me last night? He went, no, what are you talking about? I said, you nearly strangled me. I said, well, you had me by the throat. I said, I'm surprised I'm still, I suppose you didn't kill me. I said, you got me by the throat. And I said, look at the mirror wall now, obviously. And he's like, I can't talk about that. I'm like, well, I cannot be here. I was in an absolute state. I'm like, I was shocked. Anyway, so I went out and I went out in the car and I sobbed and I just thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. What am I going to do? I've got this place now. I'm trying to give security for my son and trying to, make life as normal as I can. How can I tell him I've got to leave another home and start? I just didn't have the energy, Kev. I just thought I can't do it. And his mum rang me and his sister rang me and they were lovely. Don't get me wrong. And they were like, we're so sorry. I think he's just having flashbacks, and kind of. From his ex, and because he was calling me his ex's name while he was strangling me, and obviously he used that then as an excuse, it was because she took the kids away. I thought you was her, and I was drunk, and I'm really sorry. I'll never do it again. And I just thought, well, what am I going to do, Kev? I've got nowhere to go. I've got no bloody choice. So I went back and I said, if you ever do that again or you drink, I said, that's it. I'm gone. And he was like, no, I won't. And he did change, he did drink. Don't get me wrong, but he really nice for quite some time. And I thought, oh, this is good. And I said, look, let's go to therapy. Let's try and help you. So I took him to a therapist and I thought, oh, that's good. He'll try and do something about it. And he didn't. He came straight out and then went to the pub and got pissed. And I thought, this is just not, he doesn't want to get better, I don't think.
No. And maybe because he had to talk about things triggered him and it just spiraled.
It spiraled, yeah, and he got worse and worse again and was drinking and getting out of hand. And again, another long story short, there's so much. I mean, it's all in the book anyway, but so I kind of just thought, I don't know what to do. I just do not know what to do. And while this is going on, obviously I'm still matchmaking. My head's gone, I'm just in.
It's really interesting because your matchmaking is successful all the time. And you have high profile clients. Your name is out there in a positive way. Everything is so successful with other people's relationships.
But not mine. That's the thing. Literally, when I see clients, I switch off every emotion from me. That's what I mean. I think I've put myself in a box, and I've shut every emotion down and I've not dealt with me. I just want to see people happy and I didn't want to see me happy. I didn't care. I didn't give a shit about myself. I really didn't, which is so stupid, but I just didn't. Yeah, so as I say, for me, it was probably the worst match I've ever had in my life, but he just got worse and worse, and, you know, the physical abuse, the mental, not mental abuse, but just the drinking, it just got really bad. But the thing is, while this was happening, I got offered a massive TV show in the States. So they went all around the world to find matchmakers, and they whittled it down to from 100, then down to 10, then down to 3. And I was one of the 3. And I spent nearly 4 months, you know, meetings and calls. And I thought, this is my way out. This is going to get me my security I need. So I was really excited. And they were like, one of the producers, like, Lisa, they love you. They think you're great. You know, said, this, you know, definitely it's in the bag, you know, and then they said, it's just down to me and this other guy. And anyway, it went quiet for a couple of months, and I thought, this is like, I've not got it. I think it's about 4 weeks and 5 weeks. And I thought, and I emailed, I've got the strength. I was scared to ask. You know the answer. I already knew it. I said, what's happening with that? You know, is it still going ahead? She said, oh no, I'm sorry. They've decided to go the other lady. Literally my heart sunk, because I thought that was my only way out.
Sure.
Get out of this. How am I going to get, you know, I still wanted to help him. I thought if I can get enough money to go to AA, I can probably help him. And I rang up AA and they said, you know, like, come down with him. If he might want you in the room, he might not, but I said, that's okay. I'll support him. I'll stand outside, or if he wants me in. And, you know, and he's like, oh, I'm not going. And he was still, as I say, the drinking was just getting more and more out of hand. And then I'm thinking, well, what the hell am I going to do now?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not earning enough money to sort of get by and get everything myself, you know, and I was getting in debt, you know, money was racking up, the bills are racking up, you know, he's not earning that much money. I was working 2 or 3 jobs as well, like trying to keep the matchmaking, the paying the bills, because he wasn't then working. I was basically bloody looking after him. And anyway, then I thought, right, fuck it, I'm going to create my own TV show. So I did. I wrote my own TV show. I thought, well, I've watched enough, I can create it. So created it. I wrote out a format, and I thought, right, okay, I could see it in my brain. I could see what it was going to look like. Anyway, so I created this show on paper, and there's a guy I match made, and such a lovely man. And I said to him, I don't even know why I asked him, because a lot of other people obviously been in the media and that. But I asked this guy, and I said, look, you don't know anyone who's in TV, do you? I said, look, I've created a TV show. I said, and I might need a little bit of help. And he went, yeah, I do actually. He said, like, I know these 2 people. And okay. I said, look. He said, look, send it to me first. So I think he obviously knew I was dyslexic as well.
Sure.
With him. I said, and he said, let me look at it first. I think he's probably a bit unsure. And he looked at it and he said, oh, I like it. So I'll send it over to them. Anyway, he emailed me back the next day and said, look, they love it. He said, could we all go on a call? I said, yeah, of course. So we went on a Zoom, you know, so you sort of do your hair and your makeup and feel a bit nervous. Anyway, they were talking to me. They didn't really tell me who they were. They just sort of said, you know, we've been in TV for like 25, 30 years and we know it. And they were just asking me questions more really. So I sort of probably had about an hour's worth of like, you know, talking, chatting and that, but I would say I didn't really know who they were. Anyway, so they said they wanted to be the executive producers. They loved it. So I was a bit like, oh, okay, let me come to you, you know, because I didn't really know who they were. Put the phone down, and the guy who I'd matchmade messaged me back and said, Lisa, you really don't know who they are? We're like, no, I don't. And he goes, the woman who was on the call, she created Big Brother and X Factor. I was like, shit. So I was like, bloody hell, these are like, you know, kind of TV royalty. And the other guy who is in the movies, and he worked for Spielberg, and, you know, he's been in massive movies. So I was like, bloody hell. But I'm so glad I didn't, Kev, because I would have been nervous, because the lady who created the Big Brother and X Factor, she found Ant and Dec, and they'd done an interview with her, and she said, in the first 30 seconds to a minute, I know someone's going to be good on TV or not. And so I'm so glad I didn't know, as I'd have been a gibber. I'd have been like Chandler from Friends, you know, like blah, 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 blah. I was so glad. And anyway, so I messaged him back and said, look, love you to be, you know, I was like groveling. Yes, please come on board. So we created this show. We had to get investment. I put money in, like literally put everything in. I kind of like got investment, got loans, put everything in. So I thought, right, you know, it's either make or break. What else, you know? But while this is all happening, he's spiraling out more and more out of control, getting really bad. And I'm trying to keep my head straight, you know, and I'm having meetings with them and that. And he's in the background pissed and swaying around. I'm like, oh my God, you know, I can't deal with that. him, me, client. It was just too much again. So long story short, again, we went up to meet the executives. I did, and I had meetings in London anyway, to sort of formalise everything. So I went up to the Groucho in London, which is members club. And the guy there, he does lots of presentations there and talks there. So he's very well regarded. He's very well respected in movies and PR and everything.
Sure.
So I went in there, and I was not late, but I just like literally come from my meeting, went straight there because I didn't want to. I thought if I'd been waiting around all day, I'd be too nervous. So went there, like trying to look cool and feel cool, but was feeling absolutely petrified. And had the wine open, had a glass or so. Got on really well. He's like, right, let's, we're really happy. We want to move this forward, and let's, we're getting the contracts and that. So I was like, brilliant. This is going to be life changing. Then in walks Damien, absolutely pissed. And we were in, as I say, in the room, and there's a lot of people around. And he literally picked up the bottle of wine. So we'd only had a glass each. So there's a lot of wine. He literally sort of downed it. Must have gone within about a minute, and then was slurring and shouting, and he was like saying, and I don't like this word, the C word, he's calling it, shouting like profanities, really bad. It was just horrendously embarrassing. The guy goes, we need to get him out of here. I thought, what the hell am I going to do? So we ended up having to carry him out of the club. We got a taxi. Lucky enough, one actually wanted to stop. A lot of them kept passing through, and I thought, I'm no surprise. And we got him on the train home, and he was just an absolute mess. I was so embarrassed, and there's no point speaking to him then because he'd just get out of control. And prior to that as well, he'd hurt me as well. He'd like literally, tried to hurt me. Pissed. So I said to him next day, I can't do this anymore. I'm going. That's it. I said, I've tried everything. I've taken you to therapy. I've got your children back. I've built you a business. I've created them a business. I said, I've done everything I can. What I promised you I would. And I said, you're not helping yourself. I'll change. But he didn't. So I think the next day I left. Me and my son went, packed the bags. Again, my son was kind of like out a lot, so it's quite good, so he didn't really have to seal this. Because literally I was on tenterhooks. And this is why I feel a bad mother as well, like you're trying to guard him. I literally had no rest because every time my son would come in, I'd be always with him, making sure he's protected in his room. And then I'd have to deal with him. I literally was on eggshells all the time, Kev. I couldn't relax. I was nervous. I was in a state. I'm still trying to work. My brain is just... I'm nearly enough done. And then left him. I said to my parents, please just let me come here, and I need to rest. I've just got to rest my brain. And I fell to bits. And then that's when it started, the abuse. He literally sent me messages. Like one day I got 83 text messages, 63 calls. He'd be messaging me, calling me. He'd turn up pissed. But they were getting more and more like worse and violent. Like fat girls are all the same. You are one, you're a slag. And I thought, like, I've literally probably only had a few boyfriends. And I thought, never you call me a slag. So, I just wanted to work and just get security for my son. It was just awful, the messages, and they were getting worse and worse, and the police were getting involved. Police got involved, and they're like, right, you make sure you write everything down to, keep a diary of everything. And, it was calling me horrible things, and like, but, there was no threats as such, it's just like bitch, dogs, like, just not nice names. And I don't even know why I was still trying to I messaged him back. I said, look, please get some help. And I said, look, I'll help you see your children. Because he couldn't really drive because he's drinking. I said, look, I'll drive. I'll pick your children up. So I was still trying to, help him. And then he just, as I say, got worse and worse and coming around like physically, like trying to take things. And he was trying to ruin my career. So because he had access to my emails, so I had all my stuff there. He was emailing clients and saying, oh, Lisa's stolen my telephone, or Lisa's stolen my telly, and I stole his dog. And it's my dog. I actually bought her, and she was kind of like my saviour. So it was embarrassing, and he'd like copying like all these people, and then copying his mum. She stole him a telly, and like his mum. Thankfully, she did this because obviously he was emailing the TV people.
Oh my goodness.
And she said, oh, look, son, you left your phone in the pub. The police have got it. And please stop emailing. And then the TV guy said, please just stop emailing. This is like this is getting out of hand. So he emailed the TV show, Lisa's useless, Lisa's crap. And don't do it or something. And it was like really competent email. It wasn't like, like if he was pissed or something, he said, oh, Lisa's a druggie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I take paracetamol, but Jesus, I have had something when I was 17 and that, like, I hold my hands up and that, but like, oh, I'm taking drugs and take drugs, I take paracetamol. And, he put droogie, like he'd send messages, Lisa, and he couldn't spell it right. These are the kind of messages going out to everyone, like all the customers. It was just embarrassing. And then I think then this is when they hit the nail on the head. So he, one of his like very good friends, and I shielded this from the best friend. So he would call, but I'd always turn his phone off about 3:00. He'd always be pissed by them. So I shielded all his calls. So I knew in the morning he'd be competent and he could talk. Anyway, his friend didn't know, but he worked for the government, and he basically go in and shut companies down. And he had the authority to do it. He was very high up there. And, he was a nice bloke, but he only heard one part of the story. He didn't know, he knew, I'm going to have to say Damien liked to drink, sure, but he didn't know to the extent, obviously, because I'd like been kind of like trying to cover it. And I think prior to that, I've been covering it.
And that's something that's quite important to say as well to people who are listening or watching, because in that situation, you do hide those things. Yeah. And you become very good at it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I would cover for him. I would help him, if he had business calls and that, I said, oh, he's really busy today. He can't come to he can't come to the meeting. He's not unwell. And you would. And I think that's so bad. I covered absolutely everything for him. But then I knew he had so much potential. I could see it, but if he'd only stopped drinking, and I thought I could save him, but I couldn't. No one could save him. The only person who could save him was himself. But you have that guilt on you. And even when the police said, oh, has he really hurt you? I said, no, not really, because I was still covering for him. I was trying to and I think it's so stupid of me. I shouldn't have done that, but I just thought he might turn his life around. But anyway, back to the guys. So they were both then trying to take the businesses out, like the dating show, because I thought this is my way out.
Of course.
And I think that's when I literally lost it. I literally fell to bits, Kevin. I remember sitting up the drive, the guy ringing me, and then Damien said, right, we're taking your business out. We're closing it down. They spoke to my accountant. That's it. You're out. And obviously I didn't have anyone protecting me, or no one. And I literally fell on the floor, and I just thought, and I was in tears, and my head was gone. I was absolutely gone. I was broken. And I went back down to, this is like in the driveway, I was like hiding from my mum and dad, and I went back into the room. And again, this is bloody Christmas coming up again. Sat there in the bed, and all them thoughts in my head, you're not good enough, you're stupid, the business is closing, no money, like I'm in debt now, because we paid for the TV show, and I thought I'd get the money back. I signed a massive contract, so they're going to be selling it for 27 countries around the world. So it was massive. So, all this was all closing down on me, and I'm getting smaller and smaller, and then I'm getting the threats now. He's threatened to kill me, and the calls are non-stop, and the police are getting involved, and he keeps coming round, and the police, I can't do this anymore. I felt I was having like a breakdown. I felt I was that low. And I sat in bed, and it was nighttime, and I was literally sobbing. And my son wasn't there, but my mum and dad was there. And I thought, I can't do this again. It was literally like freaking Groundhog Day. It was like the circle. I was back in that circle again, and I went to get the pills. I got out of bed. It must have been about 9:00 at night. It was dark, and I went into the bathroom to get the pills again. I probably didn't even have enough, but I just wanted to take something away to take the pain away. I couldn't cope anymore. I was shaking. My dog was sitting there, bless her, and I just thought, I can't do this. So I went to get the pills, and just as I got out of bed and put my foot down and went to walk to the room to get them, the lights, we had a power cut. I'm like, it stopped me again in my tracks, like the power cut. And I'm like, what the hell? It was unbelievable. So the electric went off, everything, and it went off for half an hour. So obviously it stopped me in my tracks. So I stopped, and I just lied in bed and was cuddling my dog to the side, sobbing my heart out. And then he again threatened to kill me, and the police got involved, and they arrested him and took him to the police cells and that. And but obviously I still had the home together, so I had to and the neighbour said, please, can you come and sort it out, because he'd left beer cans everywhere. There was people coming back. It was an absolute state. So I had to go back in, and he chucked all my stuff on the road and my laptops. And I went back there, and it was like a homeless person or homeless people had been sleeping in there for a year. It stank. They'd feces all over the sofa. Rooms were all full of sick cans. It just stank. It was horrendous. So I literally had to gut it and burn everything. But I couldn't go back there. I was too frightened.
Of course.
This is while he was sort of being detained. So anyway, I said to his parents, his family, I said, look, please, you've got to take him away. I can't look after him. We can't go back here. I've got to, sort it out. So they did. They didn't want him back because they said, oh, this is like happened again. And I'm like, what do you mean? And obviously it has.
Yeah.
So he'd done this again. It was like I was giving them a rest. So anyway, so the long story short, I did go back up there, and then we had to deal with the Crown prosecution. Then now got involved because of the threats to killing me, the abuse, the physical as well. And but again, as I say, I was kind of losing my mind. I was like falling to bits. And then two things happened. So the first thing was I rang up his ex and I said to her, I said, look, I'm not ringing for tit and tail. I said, I don't care. I said, what happened to you? What happened to me? Let's just keep it there. I said, but the only reason I'm ringing you is, I said, I won't be driving anymore. So please just be careful if he turns up. I don't know if he's get a car. I don't know. But I said, please don't let, the little ones, because I had a lot of love for them. I didn't want to.
Sure.
One of them was a little bugger, but I'd never want to see anything happen to them. And this is what she told me. And again, I don't know if this is true, but this is what she told me, and I believe her. So she said to me, I haven't told you everything. I went, oh, okay. And you kind of like, what the hell? And she said, I was pregnant, and I don't know if he pushed or kicked. I don't know. So my head was basically, I think he pushed her down the stairs, and she fell down the stairs when she was pregnant. And I'm like, I literally fell to the floor. I just wanted to throw up. I thought, oh my God, this man, how has he done? You can't do this to people. This is just disgusting. And it hurt her family and her aunts and her mum. Again, tried to strangle them and like punch on. And I'm like, bloody, I thought, I wish you told me, and this is then when I thought this court thing, because I was a bit nervous about going to court. I didn't really want to do it, but I thought that was the nail on the head. I thought, I am not letting you do this to any other woman.
That's right.
Any woman out there now, who's not sure, you can always do like Claire's Law. I don't know if you know about it, Kev, but you can ask the police, go to the police station and say Claire's Law. And they tell you if they've got a conviction. So if there's something you're ever worried about, like, please just ask the police, they can tell you. But again, I didn't know all of this, but as I say, this is why I want to tell my story as well, because I want others to know, like, please, if you're unsure about male or female, there's men out there.
That's right.
Abused, then please do tell them. But so that was that part. But then the second part was, so, I'm going through this. It was the Christmas coming up again, no money, and I'm feeling really shit. Went to take my own life again, as I said. And then my dog, she was my saviour. She got me through everything. It was a bit like Marley and me. I loved my dog, Ollie. She was my best friend, and my son. Anyway, she took her out for a walk. I think this is just, the Christmas had just gone, felt a failure, had no money, couldn't buy my son really another present, just feel like being shitty mother, really. And then took my dog out for a walk. I think it's like the 29th or something, December. I always remember that, and it's really stuck in my head. Took her for a walk. She was fine. She was only 5.5. She came back, had her dinner, laid around a little bit and chilled out. And then in the lunchtime, messing around. And then she literally collapsed, and her back legs went up like this. I've never seen anything like it. And she collapsed. And my heart just went, I thought, oh my God, what is happening? I thought, God, my brain is like in such a bad place as it is, I know the TV show's not going to be happening at the time, and like he's trying to shut my business down. I've got the courts, I've got all the police, I've just got so much going on in my brain. I've got people ringing me up because I'm owing money. My car's just got repossessed. I am in really bad shit. And then, so I took her to the vet, so I rushed her there, and they said to me, I said, I don't think there's anything we can do. They said, I think her spinal cord's gone. I'm like, well, how's that happened? She was fine, she was out running and walking. Like, I said, look, give us a few days, we'll get a second opinion, we get people in. And I'm like, shit, I don't even I'm going to pay for it, but I cannot let my dog suffer. You know, they're like, she was my baby. And 4 days later, they rang up, and $2,000 later, you know, they said, there's nothing we can do. We're going to have to put her down. And I rang my son up, and he was in bits, you know. So like, I was trying to get the roller boots, you know, like so she can have wheels and that. And they said, look, we can't do that because it's affected her bladder. And they said she's just going to get infections. Me and my son went there, and I just felt the biggest, shittiest mother, you know, like, because obviously everything he'd gone through, my poor son. But we had to put her down, and that was probably the hardest thing I had to do. Everything else, but
Yeah.
I had to do this. So put her down, and I literally went in my room. Must have been about 4 days, Kev. I didn't even come out. I was so depressed, and my head's in bits with all of this going on, and people ringing me with money, and you know, I wanted to pay people back. I could have done anything to pay people back, and you know, I just couldn't. I couldn't see a way out. I literally fell to the floor and I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And for 4 days, I didn't come to my room. I didn't eat. I just was a mess. And then I think it was about the 5th day, I thought, I just, you know, you just needed to get out. So I went out for a walk on my own, no one around, and some fresh air in the woods, actually. And I just said to the universe and that, I said, please, universe, please, just show me a sign you're okay. And you only think, God, I hope no one's looking. There was no one around. You're a bit crazy. Anyway, and you know, you think, oh, well, hopefully a gust of wind or a feather. Nothing happened. I thought, oh, right, you know, just sort of then went back indoors, had something to eat. Anyway, didn't tell anyone. I'd never tell anyone. Because as I said, my dad's like Alf Garnett, you know, you just think a load of cobblers. Did tell my son. Anyway, he was out. Anyway, next day, went out for a walk, came back, sat down, had some lunch. And then I looked at the wall and I'm like, what the hell is that? And it's just like a painted cream wall, you know, nothing, it's just plain wall. No one's been in or out really. And this picture, I think I can show you on the screen, and we'll get to send it. This turned up on the wall. So this was my dog, Holly. So she's really cute.
Yeah.
And then I have to zoom in. This was on the wall. Now it's like
unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Now I don't. Like it was like a pencil drawing, but it wasn't a pencil. It was like, but it wasn't paint. And I've never seen anything like it in my life. And I was like, you know, it's my mum. She's like, what the hell's that? You know,
and there's your sign.
Yeah, and that was my sign. And that was when I started to wake up. Like all these things, you know, like these signs, like the lightning bolt, then when the lights went out when I went to end it, my nan's sitting on the bed, and I'm like. It was like as if a switch had gone on, and I'm like, right. And that was all I needed, Kev. And I thought, right, I'm fucking getting back up there now, and I am going to make something of my life. I'm not going to listen to any more of them voices in my head, and I'm going to change. This sounds a bit crazy. I'm going to change the world, and I'm going to do something. And that was it. I did. So I literally, the next day I Googled, this sounds a bit loopy. I've never been to church. I'm not really a church person. Nothing against it, but I just, you know, you go for a wedding or a funeral. So I've never really been to church, only a couple of times, as in like for a wedding and a funeral. So I Googled, because I didn't even know what to wear. You know, and you think like, do I wear a bonnet? Do I wear a carpet flowery dress? And you know, what do you say? What do you do? So I Googled, and I found that obviously, you know, you don't need to wear that, and you can kind of be normal. And I went to church for about 5-6 weeks. Didn't want to talk to anyone, and I sat there and sobbed for like literally 50 minutes. I tried to obviously not make noise because he's talking. And I just cried and cried and cried every week. Didn't talk to anyone. Literally went in, was one of the first ones in, sit down. You're not really supposed to talk. And then it obviously comes down and talks, does a service. And then just as he'd finished, I'd leg it back out again. I didn't want to talk to anyone. And but I think that let it all out, and kind of then started to listen to what they were saying. And I don't know, it's just like an awakening. And that's kind of then when I went on a spiritual journey for a few years, you know, like healing. I got some therapy, some coaching. And it was really funny because when I went into the woman, their coach, she said, why are you here? And I said, oh, I'm stupid and I'm thick. And she went, how did you get here? And I went, I drove. She said, so if you think you're stupid or thick, do you think someone could drive? And I went, no. And it's so stupid, but it was like, what the heck?
You've been brainwashed to think that your whole life.
My whole life, yeah. I'm insignificant, I'm stupid, I'm thick.
But the whole time that you're brainwashed to think that, you're doing amazing things.
Yeah, yeah. You just, as you say, it's just so stupid. You just think you're thick and stupid, and it was. And then I went through therapy, just talking, and I was like, my God, and it was just the best thing ever. And then I went on a healing Reiki. I loved Reiki. Never really had it before. Didn't even know what it was, and ended up training as a Reiki master just because I thought it was just healing me. I just turned my whole life around then. I thought, I'm not chasing anybody. I had to love me and heal me. And so I went on a couple of years like healing me and starting again, and building up my confidence and stopped drinking. So I thought, I'm not drinking ever again. Well, I might have one like a wedding or something, but I haven't drunk for nearly, touch wood, 3 years. I don't even really want one. To be honest, I feel like shit with that one. So what's the point? So
It's amazing.
yeah, so I feel so much better. And then, and that's when I started the magazine. I just thought, I'll just show you the copy here. So,
And I love the name Mind Jump Magazine.
Mind Jump. So I thought, everyone goes to me, why did you call it Mind Jump? So I just thought, there's so many of us, me included, so stuck in our mind with fear, anxiety, stress, worry, money, pressure, of just social norms, even just like looking on social media, you just feel the pressure. So I just thought if I could help people to jump out of their mind jump, and give them expert advice. So not from myself, but from lots of leading experts. So I've got like therapists, coaches. So we talk about well-being, mental health, beauty, fashion, lifestyle. But also we've got business in there as well. So I kind of like wanted it for men and women. So it's got, like business, tech, finance, but also then like it's got like homes and property and travel, but it has more than that. So I wanted it to be a lovely, like nice magazine to look at, but I wanted it to have more depth and meaning. So I thought if I can create each time I have two lovely stories, and I'll just give you one story. So I'll just show you this one. So is that people have overcome things. Actually, just two quick stories. So
Sure.
this lady here, so Joyce, she had no money, was working in KFC, and literally family had no money. She was working KFC to earn money, and she got found by a photographer and ended up being Miss Universe or something, and went on to be the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which is amazing. But she lost a child, a very young child, really struggled, and kind of it was just difficult. Lost her way, and she tells her story, which is wonderful because it helps other people who have gone through difficult times. But then this last story is John. So John has Down syndrome. He really struggled. There's John. He really struggled. So he left school, no opportunities, no work, nothing. And he always loved socks. And he said to his dad, I'm going to create socks. And I love his confidence. He's so funny as well, John. And he said to his dad, can you help me? So they created some socks. And now they're the biggest sock distributor in the world. And I just think stories like this just gives people hope, inspiration, and just, like Hitler here, that John.
That's a great picture.
Yeah. How lovely is that? So that's why I created the magazine, to give wonderful stories and to give people hope and inspiration that no matter what you've gone through, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why I wrote the book.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's such a successful story. Your life it's been success the whole time. Even though you were going through all these trials, you didn't realize what you had in you.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't know I could write or read or, Kev, like, imagine me. I mean, I created that in my mum's bedroom, I was writing and creating it. And
there's big things happening with the magazine now.
Yeah. So we've been approved now to go into about 900 locations across the world, which is incredible. So, like Gatwick Airport, Heathrow, the Savoy, the Ritz, Waldorf Astoria, Beverly Hills, Dubai, Paris. It's incredible. Like the kid who was like, they called the Vicky on the bus. It just goes to show you we can do anything. Any of us humans, you just got to keep going and move forward and stay positive. And then the last little thing is, well, I've been working for about 12 years in total, but 2 years on a dating app. And we're hopefully just about to bring a dating app out soon. It's an AI dating app. Because I always, as I said, I've worked on this algorithm for nearly 12 years trying to perfect it. And now I've got it. Will be using it for myself as well.
That was one of my questions.
After all this shit, I thought, right, that's it. I've got to help myself. But as I say, I now love myself and approve myself, and I don't need someone to fulfill me now. That's what I was always looking for. So when I say the book, how the fuck did I lose my tiara? That's what I've been looking for, my tiara. But I had it all the time, but I didn't I didn't know. And my tiara is firm. I need a tiara now.
I'll have to send you mine. Yeah.
So, so my last bit is that it doesn't matter where you are, where you come from, what you've been through, you can achieve anything in this life. You've just got to trust and believe and work hard and love yourself.
It's true. Your life would make a great film.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it would. You only can sort of see. I've already seen it in my head. I already see it as a movie. Yeah, like because it's a bit like The Pursuit of Happiness and things like that. You know, like you're homeless and Made. When I watched that on Netflix, you know, like you could see the bank balance going down, and that's what I was like. You know, like minus 60 quid, and like you've got to put food on the table. How the hell am I going to do that? So
it's amazing. It's amazing. And I love the story, and I'm just happy to share it. And congratulations again on the book, which is out today.
Hey!
Well, for people who are hearing or watching this, it's been out for a little while, and I hope you have a copy.
Yes, I'll have to send you a copy, or it's on Amazon.
Sure. So this is the part of the podcast which I call KevJet's quick fire questions.
Right. Okay.
All righty.
Yeah.
If you could spend a day in somebody else's shoes, who would it be?
Oh, that's a really good question. And I've got to answer this quick, have I?
Well, when it's edited, it sounds quick, but...
I'd like to be in my nan's shoes, actually. My nan meant the world to me, and I'd like her to sort of feel and see how she takes in life. So, yeah, I'd love to be in my nan's shoes.
This is an interesting question because I knew your story when I wrote these down. So it's going to be interesting to see how you answer this one.
Yeah. Squeaky bum time, Kevin.
What's one thing that your mother and father taught you that completely changed your life?
That's a good question. I think resilience, because mum and dad, although, as I say, the second time they did help me, but they didn't the first time. And they could have probably, like my dad's very wealthy, he could have given me money, but he didn't. And at the time I was angry because I thought, well, why couldn't he help me? But actually, I'm so grateful he didn't, because he's taught me resilience. I had to stand up on my own 2 feet. I'd have never changed my life. I'd have just carried on and just partied and not worried. So I'm grateful that he was a bit of a hard bugger. the git, but actually I'm grateful.
Who or what was your biggest teacher?
Probably the two relationships were the biggest teacher. Actually, the first one taught me that, and the second one massively. Yeah, I didn't value myself. I didn't respect myself. I didn't love myself. If I didn't love me, who else was going to love me? So that was probably the biggest lesson, was I had to learn to love me.
Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Oh my God, to stop and take a breath and actually do the inner work, do the healing work. I didn't. I think so many of us, so me included, I'd use this time when I did have downtime for drink or Netflix or TV, whatever. You keep busy with that, but you don't actually sit there and do the inner healing. And if you do the inner healing like I have, it changes your life so much, and it's the best thing.
What does success mean to you?
That's just a good question as well. So success for me, so years ago, like, as I said, I wanted to be inside a magazine because I just thought that gave me success. Actually, none of that matters. I can't give a shit about money now. I don't care. Success means for me loving myself. That's my success.
Where is your happy place?
Actually, at home with my son and my dog. I love my dog. I like going out and having dinners and doing nice things and going to events. I get lucky. I get invited to lots of events with a magazine. So I'm really, but actually I'm just a girl who likes steak and chips, going to the pub and just having a walk or taking the dog for a walk. I'm quite a nice ball kind of girl who likes normal things like most of us do.
If you didn't have sleep, what would you be doing with your extra time?
Oh God, I love my sleep. I'm not a right sleeper. In walking or traveling. I love to travel, but I haven't had much of a chance. Like you did travel a little bit when I was younger, but haven't had much time to travel. So I'd like to travel more. What
is a dream that you've had that you've yet to achieve?
Well, we actually touched about it. And you said dream is to my life story to be into a movie. That I don't know why, I've always seen it. I knew it even like 5 years ago. I just saw it I could see it in my screen as a movie. So I would like it, not just, I don't want to be in it neither, but I want it to show, like, a bit like when I watched The Pursuit of Happiness, I felt it, that helped me. I always had that in my mind. I thought, right, if he got through it, I can go through it. So I want my story to hopefully help others. Going through pain, that it can help them. So
just this conversation is going to help somebody.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I hope it does. Yeah, I hope it does.
If past lives were real, what was yours?
I actually believe that I believe in past lives, and I know I've been on this planet many a times. I really do. And I've actually had regression, so I've actually gone back to past lives. And I know this sounds absolutely woo woo, but I know I've been alive before, and I know I've been not an activist, but I feel like I was trying to tell my story before in past lives, but I've been people pleasing. I know I have, and I tried to please everyone else, and it didn't happen. And I know this time I have to do it. And that's why, although it's scary to put your story out there and your life story, because I don't know what's going to come back at me, but I'm being brave, and I'm being brave for all those other women, men, boys, girls, children, who haven't maybe got a voice to, hopefully my story can just give them something, to bit of power to get up and, change their life.
And it will. It does. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
My last question, which I love to ask, and it's going to be very interesting to hear your answer.
Okay. Yeah.
What does love mean to you?
Good God, right. Do you know what? Years ago, I didn't even know what love is really. Love means to me, for me personally, I think to be secure in myself and know my worth. So I know my worth now. I didn't know my worth. So it's worth and being secure in myself. That's what love means to me. And for me to have love again, which is actually quite a daunting thing for me, because obviously the things I've been through, I feel as well, your vibration. So my vibration all them years before was literally so down here, was very low. And I was inviting them people in because I had that low vibration, and they were actually, and I'm really grateful for them coming in my life. At the time I wasn't, but I'm so grateful, and I wish them well. I don't ever wish them unwell, but they've got healing to do as well. But I've done my healing, and I know now my vibration is really high, and I know that right person will come in one day, whenever. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I've got my son, who I love and adore, and my dog, and I'm happy.
I love that your answer was about the love for yourself.
Yeah. I looked in the mirror, Kev. I didn't love me. I know I'm a nice person. I'm fun. I don't need a drink to still be crazy now. I could be crazy. I could dance on the table a lot, very good. But yeah, so I don't need alcohol. So the love for me, I love myself. And that sounds, most people be like, what the hell? But actually,
no, that's my favorite answer. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it.
I love it. You had to tell your story, and it's great.
It's not a short story, is it? There's so many moving parts. I mean,
amazing. Thank you, Lisa. Love our chat, and I'm so glad that we've met. And we're going to keep in touch. I'm going to share your story. I'm going to share your book.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Kev. It's been really nice. And as I say, I haven't told anyone my story. It's been written. So this is the first time I've told my story. So thank you for allowing me to come on your podcast and meet you. And we're hopefully going to have the tiara party.
We will. That's going to be great. We definitely will.